Hey, good afternoon, business owners, and welcome to the Creative Impulse podcast. Now, today we're going to be talking about blogging. And the reason I decided to talk about blogging, I'm actually going to be covering blogging all week long. But the reason I decided to do our video on blogging is because with all the AI and all the new tools that are coming out, all the different AI platforms, everyone is trying to keep up with how to use these platforms and how to make the most of them. And I was wondering, what impact is that going to have on the blogging community? And more specifically, the community that I'm a part of, which is the WordPress community, the WordPress.org, which is the self-hosted version of WordPress. And so I just wanted to know, is this something I need to be thinking about for the future? And so I did some research, and this video and this podcast are going to cover what I found. So here's what the data says and why it's simpler and more profitable than you might think. So starting a blog is sounds like it's still relevant, and we're going to talk about why. All right, so a lot of people think that blogging is complicated, that it's time consuming, that it costs a lot of money. And so I'm here to dispel those misconceptions. And so if you've been thinking about starting a business online, maybe you've told yourself you're not techie enough. There's all kinds of content out there and the market is saturated. And you might even be thinking that you need something that is going to give you results within a reasonable amount of time. Maybe you've heard that it takes forever for blogging to actually kick in. We're going to address all of that. So the first question that I get all the time, this is something that is just so prevalent within the blogging community. A lot of people think before they actually start a blog, they think that they're not techie enough. And this is based on data from years and years and years ago, where in order to have a blog, you did need a coder. You needed someone who could write code. And that was the only way that people were able to get a blog created. Well, that was a long time ago. And now there are so many tools out there, including AI, that will create a website for you in no time flat. And so being tech savvy is not a requirement for you to have a blog and to create one on your own without having to hire an outside person. Because of modern tools, and the tools that we use are basically drag and drop tools. So that means that if you're someone, let's say that you've been on Facebook or Instagram, or you're on social media platforms, that means you are creating text. You're doing hashtags, you're looking up keywords, but you're writing out text at a minimum. You're uploading your photos. You're uploading maybe some videos, footage of, let's say that you're someone who went on vacation and you want to share your vacation videos and pictures with your family on Facebook. You know how to do that, right? Well, the tools that we use to create our website and even some of the other tools that we have used, they all work the same way, where you type out the content, the written content that you want, your captions, your descriptions, all of that, and then you upload your photos and your videos, and then you have a blog post, right? So no more coding, no more thinking that you're not tech savvy enough. That is a thing of the past. That's a dinosaur at this point. All right. So that question hopefully has been answered. There's too much content already. So a lot of people feel, and this is the thing. So I was starting to wonder with AI, with all this AI talk and all the people trying to learn AI and all of that, where does that leave blogging? And because blogging is basically a content management system, that's what blogs were really set up to do, to help you create content, manage that content, and promote that content. And so, yeah, there is a lot of content out there. However, the research shows that people or readers want focused, specific content more than ever, not less. So if you're out there and you're just kind of being broad and general and you really don't have any detailed information, you're not a subject matter expert. And that's the reason I tell people, if you're going to start a business doing something you enjoy, something that builds on either something you've learned maybe on the job, or maybe something that you do as a hobby, or something that you have experienced, life experiences, right? So those are going to be the things that really position you as an authority. No one wants to follow someone who has done things by like theory. People don't want theory. They want practical applications that will help them understand and fill in the blanks so that they can do the same thing that you're doing. There are so many people out there that are starving for knowledge. Things are changing in the world right now. And so people are trying to find things that will help them improve their lives, reduce stress, reduce their relationships, improve their finances. All of those are things that people are really gravitating towards. And AI is one of those things that you can really utilize. You can leverage it to help you learn more. Let's say that you are someone who you know how to fish. Okay, I'll just use fishing as an example. And so if you're someone who's been fishing your entire life, that means you know everything about fishing. You probably experienced, good lakes, bad lakes, muddy lakes, murky lakes, lakes that aren't so scenic, lakes that probably have an odor, just good places to fish, bad places to fish, good equipment, good worms, good bait. Maybe you don't use worms, maybe you use something else. Those are the kinds of things that people want to know. So if you have a wide audience of people who want to know how to fish, and you've been fishing your entire life, you're going to be an excellent resource for those people. And if you've been doing it your entire life, it's probably something that you enjoy. So why not get paid for it, right? If you're a teacher and you've been teaching a certain subject throughout your entire career, why not add or supplement or boost your income by using that knowledge and starting your own tribe or group or audience that really wants to learn about whatever the subject is that you're actually the expert, right? And so based on the fact that you're the expert, you have that knowledge that other people don't have. Those are going to be the people that gravitate to your business. And being consistent, creating that in-depth content is going to be your number one asset. All right. So there's never too much content. There's never too much information. It's just basically the right kind of information. And so proving and showing that you know what you're doing is going to be one of your biggest assets. It takes years to see results. So a blog compounds. Believe it or not, your blog compounds. One post can drive traffic and sales for years. Your blogging content does not disappear. You can repurpose it. You can revisit it from time to time, and you can create a system where as long as that content is still relevant, then you can use it to build your audience and to continue building that audience and earning money from it year after year after year. So, you know how you hear people say things like, once you put something on the internet, it really never goes away? Um, it's very true. But if you're on social media and other platforms, and we'll talk about that more here in a moment, but if you're on other platforms, the algorithm controls how visible your content is going to be. So the algorithm can really ruin your ability to earn money. And that's why you want to have your own platform, a platform that you own and control. All right. So the numbers don't lie. Blogging is thriving. And so there are 600 million active blogs worldwide, and that number is increasing. 55% is the number of visitors that people have, or that website owners have, that have a blog. So if you have a static website, let's say that you have a website, it tells people about your business, that's great, you're online. But if you don't have a blog, then you are leaving money on the table, because your blog is what will keep your business relevant. When you're blogging, you're actually creating updated information, and that information is going to feed into search engines and AI platforms. And so when you're feeding those platforms up-to-date information, then you are definitely going to have more visitors than a business that doesn't have that. All right. And then, of course, there are 67% more leads for businesses that have a blog. When you have a blog, and just think about this. So your blog is being promoted throughout, your social media platforms. When you have lead generation forms on each and every blog post, that is an opportunity that you're giving those people, all that traffic that's coming to your blog. You're giving people an opportunity to take that next step with your business. So each blog post that you create, as I said before, it compounds. So you have one blog post. You start out with that one blog post, you optimize it, you make it look good, and then you promote it, and you just continue to promote it, right? Then you write another blog post. And so now you have two blog posts that are out there circulating on the internet, giving your content exposure and creating that opportunity for anyone who reads that blog post to take action with your business. The other thing that we do that really helps our content go even further is we create videos. So when you create videos, you're going to put those videos out on YouTube or Wistia or whatever platform, Vimeo, whatever platform you decide to use. And that is going to give you even more exposure for that blog post. So you're driving traffic from your video, from your audio, from your written content, from your social media platforms, from your email. All of those entities are working to drive traffic to your content that, if you set it up in the right way, it's going to sell for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So when you look at these numbers, these are not just statistics. They can mean the difference between being found online and not being found, right? All right, so then blogging still makes money in 2026. So what that means is marketers who prioritize blogging are 13 times more likely to see a return on investment. And so that means that you can take your content, you can set it up in a way that helps your ideal customers, or the people who read your content, see how your product can help them, how your solution can help them, how your service can help them, and then that will motivate them, hopefully, to buy. But you're 13 times more likely to see that positive return on investment through a blog. And then website blog plus SEO is the top ROI generating channel marketers report. Now, I find that I didn't really get a lot of results with SEO until I kind of took the bull by the horns and started promoting my own content. So when I started promoting my own content and really getting behind promotion over creation, that's when I really started to see things improve. So my site traffic went up, my engagement went up, and then last but not least, my sales improved as well. All right, small businesses are 23% more likely than average to see a return on investment from blog posts. So blog posts are still relevant even in the world of AI. And again, I can't stress this enough. When your ideal customers are out there looking for content or looking for information about products like yours, a lot of times they're doing research. And actually, one of the slides, we're going to get to that in a moment, but just know that people research before they spend a lot of money. They will do research, and you want to have content on your blog that explains, that educates, that informs, and keeps people in the know about whatever your topic is. And that way you can be found when they're out there doing their research or looking at demos or trying to figure out which tool is the best one for their needs. So simpler and cheaper than you might think. So you can set up a blog. Believe it or not, you can register your domain, set up your hosting, and install WordPress, the self-hosted version, with a step-by-step tutorial in about 15 minutes. So that is the reason that we came up with our course. We have a blogging fundamentals course that not only shows you how to set up your blog, but it also shows you some other information that you need so that you can create a great user experience for your audience and you can start making money with your blog. The cost to start a blog is between $10 and $30 a month. And you can really save a lot when you purchase your hosting a year or two in advance. So instead of paying on a monthly basis, which is the most expensive option, you can pay on an annual basis. So, either 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. And of course, the more years that you sign up, the cheaper it's going to be. And then your hosting, you pay for that once a year. So WordPress, the self-hosted version, is free. And so it's an open source platform. The only thing you're going to be paying for is your hosting and your domain. And then you can use a free theme, or you can pay for a theme. And that is really all you need to get yourself online. Now, of course, you're going to need images. There are a lot of companies out there that provide free images. But what I would recommend is that you take pictures of your workspace. So your office, your work environment. Take pictures of yourself working in your office, rather, or things that really make your website uniquely yours. A lot of people don't like being on camera, but having pictures of you at your desk or pictures of you working or videos of you working in your office, those are things that can really pay off in the long run, because what that does is it humanizes your business. 43.5% of the web is powered by WordPress. So WordPress.org, again, that self-hosted version of WordPress, is different from WordPress.com. WordPress.com is hosted, and I forgot what company hosts WordPress.com. But anyway, WordPress.com and Wix and Squarespace and some of the other what we call limited use platforms. When someone else hosts your platform, that means you still have to play by their rules. Now, if you're on Shopify, Shopify is a self-hosted e-commerce platform. So when you're on Shopify, you own and control that as well. But if you want a blog, if you're taking that content management route versus the e-commerce route, then you would want the self-hosted version of WordPress. And again, that is WordPress.org. So 43.5% of the web is powered by WordPress. And 62% of the content management market is also powered by WordPress. And with WordPress, again, you own everything. You own your platform, your content, your images, all of that stuff is yours. The only thing that you're doing is when you are on WordPress.org is you are renting server space, but you are not renting a platform where someone else controls, how often your content is going to be seen and how customers interact with your platform. One blog, a whole content engine. And this is the thing that I also want you to take away. And that is when you have a post, one post, every post you publish becomes raw material for your entire content strategy. So think about your content strategy as your finished product. So that blog post is going to do absolutely nothing for you if you don't publish it, if you don't promote it, if you don't market it, right? And so when you market your content, when you promote it to the right audience, you are going to have a traffic engine. You're going to have an audience builder. So a list is just an audience. So you're going to build an audience using this one blog post, right? Each blog post. And think about now, I've had my blog for a very long time. So I have about 300 blog posts right now. Some of that is going to need to be whittled down because some of it, as your blog ages, you're going to have posts on there that are older and some of that information is outdated. And so you're going to need, in your content management system, you're going to have to have a way to get some of that older content either revived or just get it off of your site so that when people visit your site, they're getting up-to-date information. But you have your traffic engine, you have your list builder, you have a way to sell products. And so with WordPress.org, you can also build a WooCommerce e-commerce platform, and that functions the same way as Shopify. It's just not as popular as Shopify, but you can have e-commerce functionality with WordPress through WooCommerce. WooCommerce is also a free open source platform. All right. And then you also have your social fuel. So one post becomes pins, captions, reels, carousels, etc. And don't forget about the video and the audio component. You also have email. You have email capabilities, which means that as you're building your audience, as you're building this list of people, when they join your list, you can email them, and that gives you another way to reach an entire audience of people who have said, yes, I really like your content. And then when you also learn how to repurpose your content, then that is going to give you even more. Just think about the fact that I have 300 blog posts. That's 300 opportunities for me to get out there every day without saying a word and share my content with an audience of people who are already engaged with my company. A blog builds your authority. So again, you want to be a guide, not a guru. Winning blog posts go deep on one thing. So that means that you want to be that subject matter expert for whatever your topic is. And you want to think in terms of one person. So when you're creating those blog posts, you want to create for one person. When you're creating those videos, you want to create for that one person. You want to speak to that one person when you're creating your written video and audio content. readers feel a post that was written just for them. When you're writing a blog post or you're creating content that just jumps off the page at someone, that is really going to create a relationship or a bond or an attraction that brings more people into your business, and it builds trust. Buyers do their homework. So 71% of B2B buyers rely on blog content during their buying journey. So again, you want to be in the mix. You want to be in the mix when someone is looking for content about products like yours. So if you're selling something, you not only want to have that product page that will sell them that item, you also want to have content through your blog that explains to them how to use the product, why the product is great, why they should use it, why they should buy it from you. All right. And then your story is your mode. So no AI. And this is the thing that I have to bring people home with. And that is AI cannot replace the human element, right? So your story, you have a unique story that no one else has. How did you start your business? Why did you start your business? What problem or what issue motivated you to start a business, right? And what were some of the challenges and the positive things that happened? All those things go into your story. So AI can't replicate that. AI is not you, and no one else is you. And so your unique perspective and lived experience is what will help to set you apart. Your expertise, your personality, and an audience that buys from you. Those are going to be the winning components that you can put together using a blog. An asset that compounds, not content that expires. So when you think about social media, and a lot of people are building a business on social media, but in a way they are really limiting themselves because that algorithm, that social media algorithm, is not meant for longevity. The lifespan rather of a blog post is measured in hours or days, not years. Your social post is going to be buried by the algorithm quickly. And as we said earlier, you are really putting your content on rented space. So when you're on rented space, the platform sets the rules. And last Tuesday's reel, probably gone. No one can even see it anymore. So it gets buried under a mountain of other things. With a blog post, you can drive traffic and sales for years because that blog post is not going to cease to exist. Your blog post climbs in search as it earns trust. So that means trust from your audience, because your audience, when they trust you, when they know you, like you, and trust you, they're going to share your content. They're going to engage with your content. That builds trust. You're also going to build trust with the search engines and the AI tools that will be accessing your content. You are building on owned space. So your content and your list are owned space. You have more control over those. And then your blog post works alongside social, doing the heavy lifting. So the 2026 advantage, focus beats fancy. So if you're looking for a pretty website, then pretty is not necessarily, unless you have focus and pretty, you are not going to have the advantage. You want to make sure that your website has the focused content that your audience is looking for. And so what that means is you want to pick one audience, one specific person with a specific problem that you can solve with your product or solution. You want to publish using a content management strategy. And then you also want to show up consistently using tools that will make that super easy. So, should you start a blog? If you want a long-term sustainable way to attract the right customers, grow your email list, and sell your products, the answer is yes. it's still one of the smartest investments that you can make. Now, if you don't have a blog yet, I would suggest heading over to makingitremotely.com/blogging. And that is where you're going to find our free WordPress setup tutorial. Now, this is where you're going to be able to set up your domain, your hosting, and install the self-hosted version of WordPress in about 15 minutes. Now, if you have a blog and that blog is not converting, then you might want to think about your content strategy. And again, we have a solution. We have a blog post at makingitremotely.com/content. And if you head over there, you're going to get some real tips and insight into how you can improve your content management strategy. All right. And then we also have a post that talks about blogging and why it's a smart choice. You can access that at makingitremotely.com/start a blog. All right, so lots of different things that you can check out from this episode, and I'm hoping that you will take this information and move forward with it. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I appreciate your time today. I'll see you on the next video. Have a wonderful day and make it productive.